May 13th, 1943. General Sir Harold Alexander flashes a triumphant message to his Prime Minister. Sir, it is my duty to report that the Tunisian campaign is over. We are masters of the North African shore. On that same day, the combined chiefs of staff accept General Dwight Eisenhower's final plan for the invasion of Sicily, Operation Husky. Invasion day is set for July 10th, during the period of a favorable moon. From the huge buildup of ships and troops in North Africa, the Germans and Italians are forced into a furious guessing game as to the Allies' next move. They know the next attack will come across the Mediterranean to hit the European continent. But where? British naval intelligence tries to shape Axis thinking by planting the dead body of a fictitious Major William Martin on the coast of Spain. It carries false documents designed to lead the Germans and Italians to believe that the Peloponnesus and Sardinia are the intended targets. The cleverly devised ruse fools no one except Adolf Hitler. He orders troops and material diverted to Greece. On July 9th, 1943, a huge amphibious assault force is on its way from 6 North African ports. Aboard one of the troop carriers is a machine gunner in the 16th Infantry Regiment, 1st Division, Private Gus Maisel.
Looking at the guys around me, I have come to certain conclusions about the average GI. He's a griper, and he growls. The more he gripes, the tougher he gets. The more he growls, the madder he gets. And all this makes him want to get it all over with as soon as he can.
You boys are always Sally's favorites. But I'm not happy with you this morning. You're up to something. Last night you sneaked away from Africa. The American 1st Division embarked from 5 points. But already one of its regiments is lost. Seems a torpedo hit their ship. This makes me quite sad. I hope no harm comes to the rest of you. That would be terrible, wouldn't it, George? George, speak to the boys.
Easy there, Yank. There's danger ahead.
Here we've been underway less than 24 hours, and the Germans already know it. Every bit is true, except the part about having sunk us. But that could happen, too. We laugh about it, even though it makes you sort of uneasy to know the enemy is watching every move you make.
Suddenly, the fair weather and calm seas desert the Allies. Winds of almost gale proportions make the High Command consider postponing the assault and returning to port. But in the end, General Eisenhower and Admiral Cunningham decide to ride out the storm and keep going.
Everybody on board is sicker than a dog. The Mediterranean is throwing up waves that look 40 feet high. No wonder they call this sea the wicked old witch. As usual, there are plenty of rumors making the rounds. Some guys are guessing it's Corsica, and others think it's going to be southern France. But I'm not putting my money on any place yet. With this kind of sea and all the seasick GIs, the brass might just decide to turn around and head right back to port.
By evening, the gamble against the stormy seas pays off. The coast of Sicily is dead ahead. Admiral Hewitt, commander of the Western Naval Task Force, wants to open a pre-invasion barrage. But the Army opposes naval gunfire as an aid to a landing. The Axis enemy is far from taken by surprise. An Italian plane has spotted the convoys. By 1 a.m. on the 10th, General Alfredo Guzzoni, commander of Axis forces on Sicily, has ordered all troops at ready alert.
The brass U.S. have finally let us in on their secret, the island of Sicily. Our outfit is going in on a beach near Gela. We know the British and Canadians are going to hit the eastern end of the island. The general feeling is, oh, those guys don't know how to fight, and no doubt they think the same about us. As far as I'm concerned, my company, H Company, is the best company and the best regiment in the whole Army. In fact, in the whole world.
Ahead of the assault, transport planes carry over 3,000 paratroopers of the 82nd Airborne Division. But high winds and a shortage of experience among the transport pilots scatter paratroopers along a 60-mile line. As prearranged, 8 reinforced divisions land abreast, over a front of almost 100 miles of coastline. The American landing parties key in on 3 small coastal towns in the western sector, Licata, Gela, and Stolici. Things get so hot on Red Beach that the beachmaster requests all landings be held up. The Navy guns finally get their chance. Under a smoke screen, all remaining LCTs reach the beach by 8 a.m.
All of a sudden, I get the feeling that in this here place, I'm going to get it, and get it good. Minutes after we hit the beach, we run into the enemy. With my buddy, J.C. Reesenover, I set my machine gun in a position on high ground, looking right down the enemy's throat. And we're doing the Germans a lot of damage.
The Germans fly reinforcements to the embattled island. Among them, the highly disciplined troops of the 1st Parachute Division. One of these men is Private Second Class Fred James Steck.
Ever since Marshal Rommel's retreat from Africa, this invasion across the Mediterranean by the Allies was expected. How strong the enemy forces are, we are not told. But it doesn't require an SOS to know that reinforcements are needed immediately. Italians have betrayed our landing. Before we can get away from the drop zone, enemy Spitfires are on top of us. strivings took a heavy toll. We regroup and board trucks that will take us to Syracuse.
General Guzzoni sets his counterattack in motion. The Italian general sends his armor and infantry across the Gala plain toward the beach, fully confident of destroying the Gala beachhead by nightfall. The Allied invasion of Sicily is only hours old. The landings have run into stiff opposition as heavy armor counterattacks in strength. American infantry puts in a desperate call for more supporting fire from the Navy. With the first column of panzers just 3 miles from the beach, the cruiser Boise opens with fire that halts the enemy armor in its tracks.
We're on the lookout for Germans when a girl turns up and tells us something about Tedeschi and Bicicletas. We think she's making a play for us. What she really means is she saw Germans around here on bicycles.
While the Americans are moving forward, the Eastern Task Force under the command of General Montgomery is facing stiffer air attack than the Americans.
The threat of new attacks by the enemy has brought us to positions outside Syracuse. The city is supposedly defended by Italian heavy artillery, but all we can see are British tanks and troops. The Italians have surrendered. Before we can decide the next move, we see enemy soldiers approaching. They have no idea at all that we are waiting for them.
Daybreak of July 12th finds the enemy retiring to the east. It now becomes apparent to the Axis that Sicily will fall. Their plans from that moment on change from island defense to a holding action that will allow the 3 German divisions to escape to the Italian mainland. To counter this move, General Alexander revises the battle plan. General Patton's 7th Army will clear out the western half of the island, leaving the British forces free to cut off Messina, the only possible evacuation point for the enemy troops. The 3rd Division covers the 100 miles from Agrigento to Palermo in 4 days. It falls to the Americans on July 22nd.
When there's a lull in the fighting, people come out and talk with us. We don't understand much, but we give them candy, some cigarettes, and soap. They're a beaten nation, a beaten people, looking for something better to live for. I don't know when it happened, but a ricochet bullet caught J.C. right in the head. He's had it. He's got no more troubles. But I have, because the Germans are overrunning my position. When it's all over, I find myself next to 5 dead Germans with a bayonet in my stomach. Next thing I know, the medics arrive. From the looks of things, the war is over for me. I have no regrets. It's something that has made real men out of a lot of people and made darn fools out of others.
Losses have been so heavy that whole companies have ceased to exist. After 3 days of battle, virtually all ammunition, food, and water are gone. The order is given to retreat. But in truth, it is a confused escape. What is left of my company is retreating north to the sea. The fighting now is completely without orientation. There is no real front line. We do not know if Palermo and Messina are still in our hands. All we can do is keep moving north. The Sicilian people, for the most part, are indifferent toward us. They are more concerned that their crops, their trees, and other possessions are not destroyed in the fighting. But there are others who are joining the Americans and the British. They have it in for us, attacking even our wounded. As we enter Messina, we find that the streets are heavily guarded. The Navy has taken charge of the evacuation, and there is a constant running of landing barges and small Navy ships between Messina and Italy. My condition is growing worse from the malaria I have contracted. It will be ironic if after surviving in battle, I should die on a hospital cot.
By August 17th, over 60,000 men and 15,000 vehicles are off Sicily and onto the Italian mainland. On that day, forward elements of General Patton's 7th Army move into Messina and find it deserted. Gus Maisel receives the Silver Star Medal for his courage during the fighting in Sicily. After recovering from his wound, he is returned to the United States and given honorable discharge on December 7th, 1944. Paratrooper Steck fights again in Italy until captured by partisans. He manages to escape and in turn is captured by the British. In September 1945, he returns to his native home in Frankfurt, Germany. In invading Sicily, the Allies believed they were striking at the soft underbelly of Europe, that here was the spot for the next hard blow against the Axis. In part, they were correct. Italy was forced to abandon the war, but the fighting itself was an unexpected prelude of the bloody campaign yet to come in the long drive up the Italian boot. Into the Allied-held fort of Naples move 110,000 men, troops of the American 3rd Army Division, the British 1st, paratroopers, commandos, rangers. Designated the 6th Army Corps, they will make up the force for attack. Operation Shingle, as the landing is now called, has swelled to an attack of major proportion. Landing craft are a special problem. In short supply and in great demand because of the planned Normandy invasion, they are on loan only through February. The attack date for Anzio, therefore, is set for January 22nd, 1944. The American 5th and the British 8th launch an all-out frontal attack on the German Gustav Line 1 week before Anzio. In Rome, the commander of the German forces in Italy, Field Marshal Kesselring, is confronted with a dilemma. Responsible for defending the long Italian coast against any Allied invasion, he has long maintained 2 divisions of reserves near Rome, ready to move quickly against any landing by sea. Now, submitting to the urgent requests of his hard-pressed field commanders, he cashes in his insurance. His last reserves are sent south to hold the Gustav Line. January 21st, 35,000 men of the Allied 6th Army Corps step aboard the transport ships at Naples. Anzio is 90 miles north. The morning of January 22nd, the great fleet of 253 ships approaches the beaches of Anzio. On one of these ships is a boy from Detroit, an artillery spotter in the 3rd Division, Corporal Paul Schrader.
I'm the only guy from the Midwest in my outfit. Everyone else is an Easterner, and they all think the West is anything beyond Jersey. No matter where they go, they're always talking about back there. I keep thinking about all those rumors that we'd get to go home after the African invasion. But from where I see it, I guess they weren't true.
To the amazement of the invaders, their opening barrage goes unanswered. As the ducks and LCTs take the men in, they are met only by an empty beach. The first troops land without even getting their feet wet.
It seems like the Germans are caught off guard. I think we must have lost more men during the practice than we're losing during this invasion. It certainly wasn't any secret. The street vendors were actually selling pictured postcards of Anzio before we left. In fact, I sent some of them home.
The objectives of Operation Shingle are to establish a beachhead and then advance only to the Alban Hills, commanding the approaches to Rome. Although the way ahead appears open, the whole 6th Army Corps is ordered to dig in. Overhead, Allied fighters and bombers go in to hit bridges and road crossings. They will fly 1,200 sorties on D-Day alone. Although Kesselring's reserves are far from the scene, he reacts swiftly. 3 hours after the invasion, he orders Luftwaffe anti-aircraft batteries, the Hermann Goering Division, and every other available reinforcement thrown into a cordon around the beachhead. The Luftwaffe arrives on the scene first. Finally, on D+3, the 6th Army Corps is ordered to expand the beachhead. While the British 1st moves toward Campoliona, the American 3rd strikes out for Cisterna. Beyond lie the Alban Hills and Rome. Blocking the way, a German army, hastily thrown together but 40,000 strong. One of the soldiers barring the 6th Corps road to Rome is an infantry group leader of the 145th Grenadier Regiment, Sergeant Ludwig Vogel.
The men come to the front from all over, from furloughs or from hospitals, or they are lost from some units that don't exist anymore. Reinforcements are being brought up slowly. The Allies have bombed railroads. I even had to hitchhike to get here. I'm put right into the front line.
Days after the invasion, the American 3rd Division has suffered 3,000 casualties. February 3rd. Under orders from Hitler to lance the abscess south of Rome, the Germans mass all available troops, now more than 90,000, for a full-scale counterattack. Trying for another Dunkirk, they are ordered to drive the Allies into the sea. 0 hour for the attack, 11 p.m. The counterattack roars to a crescendo. Nearly 6 divisions of troops, infantry, parachute, and armored, including the crack Panzer Division, are hurled against the Anzio pocket. For 2 weeks, under constant shelling and fighting at point-blank range, the troops slug it out.
I think the Germans would rather die shooting. They've got machine guns every 10 feet. And if one of their men falls, they've got a fast way of picking him up, and another guy crawls right up and takes over. We're dealing out a lot of casualties, but they're replacing them faster than we can shoot them.
The German soldier is trained to the point that he doesn't have a chance to think too much. He has to follow orders. He doesn't give up if he doesn't have anything to eat for a week. Whatever happens, he keeps on fighting.
Every day, Allied battle maps look worse. Under constant bombardment, the 10 by 12 mile pocket is steadily shrinking. One German thrust drives 2 miles into the beachhead. In just 4 days, the Germans suffer more than 5,000 casualties. The Americans nearly 4,000. The Allies order every bomber in Italy to the Anzio front. The saturation bombing closes the breach. March 1st, the Germans call a halt. Weary troops, cold, wet, and hungry, German and Allied, dig in and wait. Too exhausted to win.
Mostly the holes are shallow. If you dig down very far, you reach water. We are close to the ocean. Since it's raining so much, the water comes in from below and above too. And the moment it starts, we have a common problem, we and the Allies, to get the water out of our holes. So at a moment like that, the firing stops. Nobody shoots at anybody. Nobody speaks to anybody. We just all take care of this one problem.
Sunny Italy. It must be some kind of a gag. It rained 6.5 out of every 7 days. It's the worst I've ever seen. Our tanks are sinking into the mud. Our guns are sinking into it. If we get consolidated by anything, it's going to be by mud. The Germans are dug in now, and they really know how to do it. It seems like they've got all the advantages. They're controlling the hills, and they really are throwing up a defense.
We always seem to be hungry up here. A couple of days ago, I was lucky enough to find a can of mixed pickles. I was so hungry, I ate the pickles without anything. Days go by when we get nothing at all. Sometimes I think everything is against us. We don't have enough ammunition to fight with. We don't have enough food to survive. There are some doubts in my mind, and in the minds of quite a few German soldiers, if we have a chance to win the war.
We're trapped for so long, it's difficult for a fighting man not to be moving. Just fighting and not moving, the morale begins to get low. You just see casualties and you're not accomplishing anything.
As the weather clears on March 2nd, the Allied Air Forces staged the biggest air attack of the campaign. Nearly 1,000 fighters and bombers come in to smash German strong points. The end of the bombing marks the end of German hopes for another major counteroffensive. By the end of March, more than 120,000 Allied soldiers are jammed into the fire-ringed pocket they call Hell's Half Acre. They can't break out, but they are holding down 135,000 German troops desperately needed on other crumbling fronts. For nearly 3 months, both sides fight a defensive battle. The lines are tried, penetrated, and sealed again. The big attack gives way to the small skirmish, and men die individual deaths.
The front is a very jagged line. It goes back and forward, sometimes 100 meters apart, sometimes 10. You're dug into holes, sometimes 2 or 3 men in a hole. There's no time to dig trenches.
Sometimes it's pretty hard to tell how we're doing. We all hear what's called routine rumors about how the other outfits are doing. Sometimes we hear that the Germans are breaking through, and sometimes that we're breaking through. When you're batting for yards, and sometimes even inches, it's hard to tell.
For the encircled men of the Anzio pocket, it's a time of constant bombardment. One of their chief tormentors is a monster railway gun, called Leopold by the Germans and Anzio Annie by the Americans. It hurls 11-inch shells into the beachhead with devastating effect.
We're pinned down real good, they start lobbing the shells in. One of them they hit us with is a monster, a 280 millimeter shell, and nobody can figure out where it's coming from. Well, some of the guys think they're backing the gun into a tunnel every time our planes come over. We're jammed in so tight the Germans don't even have to take aim. They just keep lobbing shells in, and 9 times out of 10 they hit something. We're just sitting ducks. Just hit a truck. Where are you going to get another truck? You almost have to steal one to replace it, if you can find some place to steal one from.
By the middle of May, the long, deadly winter has loosened its grip on Italy. As the Allied armies in the south open their spring offensive, the trapped men of Anzio decide to break out of Kesselring steel handcuffs.
It's hard to explain to your man when you're running out of excuses. It's a fact that we are retreating on every single front. We are retreating in Russia, in Italy, and the Allies are getting ready to invade France. There's no way to get us any more troops, or weapons, or food. Sometimes you just feel like you have been abandoned. The troops are so demoralized that they just give up. You can't talk to them anymore. There are some boys you talk to, and you just can't get an answer. Completely demoralized. One day, I tried to take a boy with me on a mission through the lines, and he refused to go. I asked him why he won't go, and he tells me, my wife and daughter are both blind due to an Allied air raid. I lost my home, and they lost their eyesight, and I can't give anymore, and I'm not willing to give anymore.
Now we begin to get prisoners, boys 14 years old. They're throwing them in to try and stop the gap. There's this one red-headed boy. He says New York has been bombed. I ask him how he knows, and he says he heard it on the German radio.
The breakout is complete. After 2 days of the most vicious fighting, Cisterna falls on May 25th. On that same red-letter day, a long-awaited event occurs. The troops at Anzio finally link up with the American Fifth Army, which has broken through the Gustav Line. For the Allies, the tide is turning, but not without cost. The 6th Corps suffers more than 4,000 casualties in a week.
One time, we crawled through the enemy lines to capture some ammunition. but this time we are expected, and we don't just roll them up. Heavy shooting starts, and I get it. When I come to and see what's happened, I start to run. I don't even have the strength to crawl, but I run all the way. It isn't physical strength that saves you. It's just the desire to live, the desire to go home again.
When you break through, it's great. The morale is sky high. Now all anybody can think of is Rome.
Under increasing pressure, the entire German front begins to break. By June 2nd, the Germans are in full retreat, and the Allies are sweeping victoriously north to Rome. June 4th, in a splendid riot of welcome, the Eternal City is liberated.
I guess the hardest part of the whole thing for me is Rome. After all that way and everything else, they don't let us march through like the other troops. Our uniforms don't look so good, so we have to march around the outskirts. Naturally, they want the best uniforms for the parade. It's really kind of rough on the boys, though, after all of that.
Ludwig Vogel, after being evacuated from the hospital in Rome, is moved to one in northern Italy, and finally to one near his home in Munich. Awarded an Iron Cross, he doesn't recover from his wounds until after the war's end. Paul Schrader later goes to Marseille, fights his way through France, and wins 7 battle stars before coming home. Anzio was, in the opinion of many experts, an expensive mistake. Eventually, it was rescued by the army it tried to rescue. September 3rd, 1943. The Allies complete their conquest of Sicily, then move quickly to invade Italy itself. 2 divisions of the British 8th Army crossed to the toe of the Italian boot to encounter only minor German delaying tactics. That same day, the Italian government surrenders. On September 9th, the 5th Army, composed of 3 American and 3 British divisions, launches an amphibious assault on the west coast of Italy, at Salerno Bay, 30 miles south of Naples. One of the American soldiers at Salerno was a rifleman from Missouri, Private Ira Hunt.
I was with the 45th Division when we landed in Sicily last June. Now I'm with the Texas Division, the 36th. I don't care what the comic books and movies tell you. This is no adventure or thrilling experience, and I wish I wasn't stuck with it. We're moving through an olive grove and running into more and more small arms fire. The engineers are trying to clear a path through a minefield, but artillery shells bursting in the trees are causing plenty of casualties. There's only one more thing that can go wrong, and it does. I get hit in the leg. The medics take me back down the hill as more guys come up to get whatever's in store for them.
For nearly a week, the Allies are threatened with another Dunkirk. Then, with the help of powerful air strikes and the big guns of the British Navy, they break out of the German ring. October 1st, the Fifth Army marches into Naples, a city of 750,000 people. But more important, a great port for the landing of men and supplies, once it is cleared of the destruction left behind by the Germans. The general feeling is the Allies will be in Rome within 2 months. Every German unit in Italy is alerted, ready to move quickly to counteract any Allied breakthrough. In one of the units held in reserve is Major Rudolf Bermler of the 1st Parachute Infantry Division.
Our division has been resting near Ravenna for the past month. Now that the Allies are renewing their offensive, we are ordered to move south again. The exact place is kept secret, but already I have orders to increase the strength of my battalion. This means only one thing. The High Command is expecting heavy casualties.
The Germans, led by Field Marshal Albert Kesselring, are out to bleed the Allies. They risk only small forces. From their hilltop positions, they methodically direct an avalanche of steel on the attackers. When their own positions are seriously threatened, they withdraw a mile or two and repeat the process. The defenders are always hidden, protected by the terrain. The attackers must continuously expose themselves. Like a punch-drunk fighter, the Allied force staggers blindly forward, to be hit again and again.
I've been returned to duty with the 36th, but now I am assigned as a signalman, setting up communications between regiment and battalion headquarters. The Army classifies the job as non-combatant and arms me with a carbine instead of a rifle. They're not kidding me, though. I'm in the same boat with the infantry.
October drags by with the Allies meeting progressively stiffer resistance. While German rearguard troops are conducting the well-planned fighting withdrawal, behind them, engineers and labor battalions are perfecting a strong defense barrier, the Gustav Line. The only thing favoring the Allies is their superior air power. But in mid-November, cold rain and even snow begin to fall. Now the Air Force is of little help. And on the ground, American armor bogs down in the mud. Still short of the Gustav Line, the Allies halt for a rest and regrouping. 2 months to Rome is a hollow joke now. The Eternal City is still 90 miles away. Napoleon once said, poverty, hardship, and misery are the school of the good soldier. The men in the lines are good soldiers, but they don't appreciate this kind of schooling. The keystone of the Gustav Line is Monte Cassino. An 1,100-foot peak, it overlooks the entrance to the best approach to Rome, the Liri Valley, through which runs the Via Casilina. The Germans have dug emplacements in the sides of the mountain, placed large guns inside natural and man-made caves. They concentrate their highly mobile mortar batteries behind the peak in deep ravines and locate well-protected machine gun nests all over the mountain. Everywhere else, the slopes are covered with a terrible tangle of barbed wire and thousands of anti-personnel mines. And to complicate matters more for the Allies, there's a historic monastery perched on top of the mountain. It is here on Monte Cassino that St. Benedict founded the Benedictine order in the 6th century. Should the Allies destroy the site in the course of their assault, they may outrage a large part of the Christian world. December 1st, no more respite. Again, the Fifth Army lunges forward into the middle of the line. Its objective, a group of hills which stand before Monte Cassino. The key height, Monte Camino. 925 big guns direct fire on this one objective.
I have fought in Poland and Russia and participated in the aerial invasion of Crete, which was an extremely bloody undertaking.
But the fighting now going on here is the severest ordeal. As expected, our casualties are quite heavy. It may take the Allies 1,000 rounds to get one man, but they seem determined to do it.
We don't know what the maps call the hill ahead of us, but we call it $1 Million Mountain. Some GI figured out that in the past 12 hours, Uncle Sam has shot $1 million into that hill.
$1 Million Hill taken, the GIs find the more open country beyond, with its lesser but more heavily fortified hills even harder to take. It's not until January 15th that the last of these hills falls. 1 mile away is the Rapido River, and right behind that, Monte Cassino. The Fifth Army, using 8 divisions, has taken 6 weeks to advance 8 miles, suffering nearly 16,000 casualties. But there's no stopping now. Allied strategy calls for a flanking attack from the sea, a landing at Anzio, 30 miles to the north. An immediate offensive must be launched against the Gustav Line to draw German reinforcements away from the Anzio area. The 36th Division is to spearhead the drive.
The situation right now is a real morale breaker. We're down to 1/3 strength. We've been on the line continuously ever since leaving Naples, and now orders came for us to break across the Rapido, undermanned, under strength, against an opponent that is over strength Lord knows how many times, sitting up there on that mountain, watching every move we make.
January 20th, 1944. The Allies make a concerted attack on the Gustav Line 60 miles south of Rome. The purpose, to breach the line if possible, but mostly to contain German troops around the Cassino sector while other American and British soldiers make a landing at Anzio. The toughest assignment falls to the 36th Division.
The 143rd Regiment moved out before dawn, and our regiment, the 141st, is backing them up for the crossing. The first try fails miserably, but we're not stopping. Keep pushing to get across, that's the order. If the Germans drive you back, regroup and hit again. Each man is his individual command. His duty is to get across the river, not as a company, not as a platoon, but as an individual. Hold fast till more guys get across. The Germans are about 80 yards away from us, and we figure that being so close, there's no chance for their artillery to fire on us. But they get their signals mixed up, and their own artillery clobbers them and us at the same time.
German artillery has prevented the building of a pontoon bridge across the river. All boats, footbridges, and telephone wires are destroyed. The men isolated on the German side of the river run out of ammunition. They try to return. Only the strong swimmers make it. 1,681 men of the Texas Division are lost. On the plus side, the Allied assault on Cassino does succeed in bringing more German reinforcements to the Gustav Line. Troops that otherwise might have been used to repulse the Anzio landing. Still bogged down, the Allies plan a second attack on Monte Cassino, to be spearheaded mostly by fresh New Zealand and Indian troops. But the question of the monastery on top of the mountain still plagues the Allies. There are days of agonizing indecision over whether the abbey should be bombed and shelled. Even if the abbey isn't being presently used, its 10-foot thick walls will give the Germans a second line of defense if they're driven from the mountainside. So the monastery will eventually have to be destroyed anyway. This argument prevails. On February 14th, leaflets are dropped to the abbot, 5 monks, and 200 refugees living in the monastery, warning that the site will be bombed. No date is given. The 80-year-old abbot asks the Germans to provide an escort to safety. He is assured they will have an escort within 2 days. February 15th. The brothers and refugees are still in the monastery when an ominous sound turns a light in German eyes to the sky.
In some ways, I hated to see the abbey bombed. But then you ask yourself, what's better, destroy a building or get a lot of guys knocked off trying to take it? I'm only sorry the brass held off so long before doing it. Even the Italian peasants around here knew it would have to go.
Allied ground forces have not been notified of the timing of the air assault. Unprepared, the British Dominion troops launch a half-strength attack. At a terrible cost in lives, they advance on the north to within 1,000 yards of Monte Cassino and to the railroad station on the south end of the town, Cassino. But they can advance no farther. The second attack on Monte Cassino ends in a deadlock.
The heavy bombing and shelling by the Allies have reduced the entire Abbey of Monte Cassino into rubble. I decide to set up my command post within the ruins for better protection.
March 15th. The Germans still hold the town of Cassino at the foot of the mountain. 500 Allied planes hit the town with 1,400 tons of bombs.
Enemy bombers bombed the town of Cassino below us. So many bombs are dropped, the whole mountain shakes like a dying animal. All of us feel quite helpless. More so because we can do nothing to help our comrades trapped in the town.
In the wake of the bombing, a three-pronged drive is launched against a stunned enemy. Most of Cassino falls. Gurkha troops clamber halfway up Monte Cassino itself to occupy a spur of the mountain called Hangman's Hill. This could spell victory, but unaccountably, a reserve battalion fails to receive orders to join the assault. The initial momentum is lost. The vaunted 1st Paratroop Division also make a difference. They swarm down the mountain slopes to counterattack Allied strongpoints.
It is ironic how in this holy place, life has become a hell beyond description. All this fighting and dying has altered our military habits. Officers and men from the lower ranks have grown closer together. So much do we depend on each other. I know I can count on the soldier next to me. And he knows too I will not fail him.
On March 23rd, the third offensive against Monte Cassino was called off. During the following weeks, there are no major actions as winter runs its course. The Allied commander in Italy, British General Sir Harold Alexander, bolsters his forces opposite the Gustav Line. The Germans think he has 6 divisions. He has 13.
Some replacements came up this morning. Green rookies straight from the States. They sure look scared, and I'm wondering, who'll be the first one to break? I know I broke several times under fire. In this situation, you have everything in the world going against you, and nothing for you.
May 11th, the final assault begins. On the left flank between the sea and the mountains, the U.S. Second Corps applies pressure but is stopped. To its right, moving over the roadless Urumqi Mountains, the French Corps catches the enemy by surprise, threatens to flank the Liri Valley defenses. In the center, the 13th British Corps crosses the Rapido below Cassino. And to the north, the Polish Corps swings behind Monte Cassino.
We are suffering a shortage of food for 10 days now. But most bothersome is our thirst. The wells are either destroyed or clogged with dead. The French and Poles have cut deep into our lines. The whole front is threatened. Marshal Kesselring has ordered us to abandon Monte Cassino. For us paratroopers, it is a severe blow. After so many sacrifices in defending this point, we must give it up without a fight. We ask ourselves, was all the suffering and dying worth it? Yes, it kept the Allied bombers away from our homeland that much longer.
The Polish and British troops close their pincers behind Monte Cassino on May 18th. But the German garrison escapes, slipping out just before the gap is closed. It is the Polish Corps which finally takes possession of Monte Cassino. The only Germans they find are the wounded left behind to surrender. The Germans retreat to a secondary defense position 6 miles behind the Gustav Line, the Adolf Hitler Line. But the Allied push is at last relentless, enabling American Fifth Army troops at Anzio to break out. Germans go into headlong retreat. Sunday, June 4th, the American Fifth Army marches into Rome. 2 days later, D-Day, other armies of the Allies land in Normandy. The Battle of Cassino, to the world at large, becomes merely a page in history. Ira Hunt later takes part in the invasion of southern France, which he calls a picnic compared to the Italian campaign. He is one of that minority of original 36th Division soldiers who last out the war in Europe. In his case, with 2 Purple Hearts. After escaping from Cassino, Rudolf Bermler is promoted to colonel and placed in command of a regiment in northern Italy. Following Germany's surrender, he becomes first a prisoner of the Americans, then the British, and is released in 1948. The Battle of Cassino is remembered by many for its destruction of a historic place of worship. by others for what they call the needless sacrifice of men across the Rapido. However Monte Cassino was remembered, it was another example of the waste and futility of war. January 1942. On the west coast of the United States, 110,000 Japanese and Japanese Americans, citizens and aliens alike, are ordered to close their shops and homes. They are moved to relocation camps far inland. Even the Japanese Americans within the armed forces are classified non-combat and denied the right to fight for their country. January 28, 1943. The War Department announces it will accept loyal Japanese American volunteers for combat from the continental United States. 10,000 applications are received. 3,000 are accepted. 2 days later, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team is formed at Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Most of the men of Japanese descent who come to Shelby were born in the United States. They are called Nisei. One of the volunteers is 22-year-old Frank Okada.
Everything we do, we try to do faster and better. At Camp Shelby, we know that we have to prove ourselves. With that in mind, we formed the slogan, Go for Broke. Live, die, or otherwise, you just go all out.
Also incorporated in the team is the 100th Infantry Battalion, composed of Hawaiians of Japanese ancestry. In August 1943, the Hawaiian section is sent to the European theater for combat, and the 442nd continues its training at Camp Shelby.
Our company has men from every walk of life. Nisei, boys who are born here. Kibeis, boys born in the United States but raised in Japan. Kanakas, boys from Hawaii. One day at Camp Shelby, we stand IG inspection. A general comes by, looks at us, and then says, "These boys are ready." Someone next to me says, "That's the kiss of death right there." Right after that, we get shipped out.
June 10th, 1944. The 442nd arrives in Italy and is rejoined by the battle-tested 100th Battalion. Crossing of the Rapido River to the storming of Monte Cassino, through Salerno, Anzio, through the bloodiest fighting in southern France and Italy, the 442 has won for itself a special reputation.
Our outfit was formed to spearhead and fight in the mountains. When we get into battle, we just go right ahead. Our casualties are high. Men who go into the hospital want to get out and return to the front line. Otherwise, they figure they are wasting their time. One fellow from the islands, more educated than the rest, is always brushing his teeth and combing his hair. Everybody kids him. What the heck? I guess he wants to die looking clean. The first week in battle, he gets it. He gets hit while brushing his teeth. Of course, if you rest around too long, you don't want to go up on the line. You start thinking how good it is to live. While you're up there, you don't think about living.
Stretched across the rugged Apennine Mountains is the last German line of defense in northern Italy, the Gothic Line. 16 German divisions dug in for a last-ditch battle. The line is solid. As spring approaches, it is made ready for the expected Allied offensive. One of the soldiers manning the Gothic Line is a 26-year-old veteran of the Russian and Italian campaigns, Sergeant Rolf Frank.
It will come, the day when we pull back to the Alps, and that is what we will try to do. But now we must stop them, so that we have a chance to pull back.
Here in the mountains, it is easy to defend. You dig yourself in so the enemy can't see you. You can keep them down with only machine guns. But actually, we have only 80 shots for our cannons a day. We can fire them. We have to have special permission.
During the day, it is almost impossible to travel because of enemy fighters. They pick you up and come down for even a single man on the road. Whatever they see moving, they come down for.
Complete air superiority, the Allies have reduced communications between the Gothic Line and the German homeland to a thread. Operation Strangle, as the punitive bombing is called, makes the movement of supplies or men extremely hazardous. Those that make it through make it only at night. The Allied battle plan calls for 2 diversionary attacks, one on either side of the Gothic Line, a few days apart, to draw German forces away from the center. Then, a week later, the major assault, ramrodding through the center of the line straight for Bologna and command of the Po Valley. March 1945, the 442nd moves to Leghorn, Italy. It is to be a part of the 92nd Division. The 442 moves up to spearhead the diversionary attack on the left. Jump-off is less than a week away. By now, their reputation as a top U.S. troubleshooting team has been solidly established. April 5th, 1945. The big guns of the American artillery signal the beginning of the 442nd's diversionary attack on the German Gothic Line.
That Mount Belvedere was going to be steep, but they didn't say how steep. This thing is almost straight up, and the enemy is on top. I say to the captain, you'll get us slaughtered when we get up there. I imagine they're waiting. He says, I imagine.
When the shelling starts, the whole ground shakes, and all around you hear crying, and there's no enemy to see. We expect an attack, but we thought it would come from up north, like at Anzio.
Ahead of the 442 lies Mount Belvedere and German troops that have had 5 months to harden their defense line. April 5th, 1945. The U.S. 442nd Regimental Team strikes for Mount Belvedere and a break through the German Gothic line. Assigned the defense of Mount Belvedere is the crack machine gun battalion Kesselring. The veteran German troops bar the way with a crossfire of mortar and machine gun fire.
You know, if they got one guy sitting there with a machine gun, he can hold up the attack for hours. One man, one machine gunner can cut you to ribbons, and you can't even see him.
You fight, and suddenly they come again, and again, and again. They do it all the time. I don't know why. And they lose a lot of people,
The only way to get them is to go in and dig them out. We call it a bonsai attack. God, do we lose men.
Days after the attack, in spite of heavy German reinforcements brought in from the center of the line, Mount Belvedere falls.
The Germans we capture know we're Japanese, but they can't figure out why we're fighting them. Isn't Germany allied with Japan? So we tell them, haven't you heard? Japan is now fighting with the Allies.
April 9th, the British 8th Army begins the second diversionary attack. Hits the Germans on the other end of the line. The main 5th Army attack through the center of the German line is held up because of bad weather. The 442nd Spearhead moves out so far in front that their supply columns can't keep pace.
We have them on the run, and we want to keep them on the run, hoping that the other end of our line will move along too. You get out here and you wonder what the heck it's all about. Then you realize you're shooting because if you don't, you're going to get shot. When you come right down to it, infantry fighting throughout the world is not fought on a big basis. It is fought by squads and companies.
under attack at both ends of the line, the major blow in the middle catches the Germans off balance. The 90th Panzer Grenadier Division is rushed to the front. It's a desperate attempt to prevent a complete breach in the line. It's the last German reserve division in Italy, and it is committed before the attack is 1 day old. 3 days after the main attack, the Gothic line begins to crumble. Fifth Army commands the heights, and beneath them stretches the valley of the Po.
They sent those big airplanes, the flying fortresses, to make it easier for them. And we feel like trapped rats. I'm maybe 3 or 4 kilometers away from the front lines. I notice an awful fire and the airplanes. We have to sometimes hide, and later we have no chance to hide at all. Now there's not enough left to make a real front. I figure my life is not worth much now. We get the message, there is a breakthrough. Everybody tries to leave and go north. Some with trucks, some without trucks. Any way they can. This area is all mountains. It is hard to proceed.
April 18th, the 5th and 8th Armies are converging on Bologna. 3 days later, the American 34th Division fights its way into the city. The race for the Alps is on. All along the 5th Army front, German forces are trying to break away, to slip out from under the Allied heel. The Germans' last hope, reach the Po River before the Allies.
We can't walk by day. By night, we can't proceed either. I talk with men from the tanks, and they have to blow them up because of no gasoline. And we have to destroy our weapons, or else the enemy will get them. Everybody is running, running, running. They don't care about anything. I'm 24 years old, and I'm really an old man. There are some fellows only 18, and they are dead already. I know that many of the others feel the same way, that we will be lucky if we stay alive until the end of the war. You have a chance to survive if you become a prisoner. Survival. It's a matter of survival.
April 28th, elements of the American 1st Armored reach the foot of the Alps. Now the Gothic line is only a memory, and the German retreat has turned into a rout. April 29th, the entire German 148th Division surrenders. At 2 p.m. on the same day, the German High Command in Italy agrees that full surrender should be effective on May 2nd. In just 19 days, the Allies have driven from the Apennines to the Alps and have brought the war in Italy to an end. Sergeant Rolf Frank, captured by the 5th Army, spends 10 months in U.S. prison camps and finally returns to his home in Berlin. Franco Carter, now a first sergeant, spends the rest of the war in northern Italy. By the time the men of the 442nd come home, they have received more than 18,000 individual decorations, more presidential citations than any other unit in U.S. history. President Truman awarding them their 7th citation for their role in the Gothic Line campaign said at the time, "You are now on your way home. You fought not only the enemy, but you fought prejudice, and you won."